The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business.
Welcome to the Big Small Business Show, the show for all our wonderful entrepreneurs out there, and in particular our young entrepreneurs. We continue our series focusing on young entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurs. They are so important for the future of this country. And in studio with us today, we have got Jordan Olsen. He's CEO of Neslo. Let's take a look.
My name is Jordan Olsen. I'm the CEO of Neslo. So we are essentially a software and digital design company based here in Johannesburg. Started about 4 or 5 years ago now. Myself, I'm a software engineer, but also obviously in charge of everything day to day and the vision and the management of Neslo itself. Early on in my career, because I started off at around the age of 19, I was one of the lucky few that didn't need to study and go to varsity to really get into the job market. I really learned from a lot of mentors around at that time that I thought, okay, you know, I actually know enough to start teaching people and sharing my knowledge. But obviously that came with its own challenges, starting off as young as I was, especially in quite a, if you could say, corporate heavy or professional industry, where people don't really know who you are or trust whether or not to put their sort of technology in the hands of a young person. But you know, strategic partnerships along the way really helped solve that problem. Being a consultancy, we don't necessarily have a product. Our people are our product. So we put a lot of emphasis in training and making sure that our skills are as top-notch as they can be. And essentially from when we started, being 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was mainly just myself doing a lot of the work, to the point now where we've got 26 people in the team, grown exponentially over the last year. I think beginning of last year, we were about 8 of us, and we've now jumped up to 26, so we've grown quite rapidly, but it's been as organic as possible, trying to make sure we don't sort of burn any bridges in terms of cash flow and things, and just make sure that everyone is safe and secure in their job on the day-to-day. It is quite a competitive industry. I think everyone, especially nowadays, is trying to move into a realm where they don't really need to go and write code to build websites and build their own apps and things like that. So that is an aspect that is not directly competitors, but I guess takes away the opportunity for a bit of work. But there are definitely some really world-renowned companies out there that are doing some great things. And I think it is not only a bit of an opportunity for us to see where we can end up one day, but you know, we also can pick out the flaws and then mistakes that they make and try to be as differentiated as possible. The biggest thing that we struggle with at the moment is talent in the market. It is a market that is completely ridden by latent demand. There is so much demand and not enough supply, and the supply that is there is not up to the caliber that it should be. And I think that was a great opportunity for Neslo to break into the market as well. So I think where I believe we could get some insight is, how do we get the industry and clients to essentially buy into investing into more junior staff or junior skills that just need the right guidance and opportunities and experience to become the more skilled staff that everyone is looking for out there. Our mission and our vision is essentially to be a global one-stop shop for anything digital design and software engineering related. So what I would like to do is really break into some emerging markets outside of South Africa, as well as just be a real heavy hitter and a heavyweight in the industry locally as well.
Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so you started this business at 23.
Correct.
Why?
So being a software engineer, I really loved the field and found that there was a huge need to upskill our local talent. Found a lot of people were traveling overseas, that really companies were losing a lot of real good talent to the industry. So I found a bit of a gap where we could nurture and grow young minds into proper technical talent.
So are you training young developers, or are you using young developers to build out software?
A little bit of both. So obviously we do look into the market for senior technical talent as much as possible, but we also started an internship over the last year where we are taking in young people who are looking for a career change to help us push our brand into the market as well as give back to a bit of the society.
The issue in the software development, it's a global issue, is talent, right? And that there's very few senior developers, but they have to come from somewhere.
Right.
And so your problem, so to speak, is that you've got a whole bunch of talented youth that you can get up to speed, but it's going to take time.
Correct.
And the mismatch is that the clients want the developers that are up to speed.
Correct.
And that's the problem. Am I understanding the problem correctly?
Yes, that's correct. So essentially in an industry where there's about 20% of the demand is being supplied, most of that demand is looking for about 90% of senior talent, and there's just not enough out there. So even with the amount that is supplied, the quality of the developers out there is just not quite where it should be.
Does time have a real impact, or is it how smart they are and how quickly they learn?
I think it's a combination. So definitely, if you have the aptitude, you're going to pick up things a lot faster than most.
Right.
Although at the same time, it comes down to a lot of people's training, especially early on in their careers. I've come across a lot of people that are 6, 7, 8 years in the industry that are not as proficient as people being in there for 2 years because the people with 2 years had better training.
What is the test for a good developer?
In my view, it's generally critical thinking, problem solving.
But how do you test for that? Is there a test? Is there the critical thinking test?
Yeah.
Here's the problem, solve it with code.
Look, I think there's obviously a few out there that people try and use. So how we essentially did it is we used a platform that put together an aptitude test that was based on the logical reasoning, critical thinking, problem solving, nothing to do with code specifically.
Right.
Because if you have that aptitude, we can teach anyone how to code. It's just a matter of how quickly you'll adapt and pick it up.
So do you use that as a precursor to allowing them into your organization?
Correct. That'll be for both interns as well as people out in the market that have got skills or already have a number of years behind their name.
And in the industry, do development houses use the same thing? In other words, is there a differentiator? Does everyone use it? Is it just you or few organizations?
I think most companies use it as a phase of technical screening, definitely to do some sort of assessment, whether it be an online platform or just a coding challenge. But we've gone through a few of these iterations and try to find the best fit of what actually works, because we've also found that people can bypass the test by cheating in some way or whatever it might be. So we've had to refine that process quite a few times over.
And your methodology of training, same as everyone else, honestly, or is it very different?
I would say it's very different. Everyone that's walked into our doors has definitely mentioned so, in the sense that we try to teach people to understand the basics and the core of how things work before you can add on the frilly frameworks and things that make it happen a lot faster or to develop things a lot quicker. So we try to break down the barriers and really find out fundamentally where people need to learn and grow them that way before we add on all the frilly stuff on top of that.
The average age of your developers?
Roughly in the main team, besides the interns, I think we're looking at probably a range of about 20 to about 28 years old, or to about 32 years old. So average will probably be about 25, 26.
You said in the clip you've had some exponential growth.
Correct.
Right. Just tell me what pressure that's put on the business itself.
I think definitely cash flow is a thing, especially when it comes down to payroll every single month.
Yeah.
And especially in our industry, that's our biggest expense. We don't have many purchases and things like that, so payroll is a big one. On the other side of things, it's growing at the speed we did. Management becomes a full-time job. You know, we can't always, when we're smaller, just focus on making everyone happy. Sometimes we've got to deal with areas where not everyone can be happy. So I think the management on that side of things, people management, has definitely been a big learning curve.
And how do you get new business?
Generally, we would put ourselves out there on some sort of Slack channels and things like that in the South African tech industry. That has been a big winner for us. And we've recently, over the last year, built up a business development department where we are then getting involved in a lot more areas to get our brand out there, and ideally want the customers to come to us.
Okay, Jordan, I think I've got enough. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, I'll try and answer some very tough questions set to me by the 28-year-old future billionaire.